Afternoon. We're going to do a little bit of a mastermind session, and I'm going to walk through that with you guys. My experience is in three areas in business: leadership, specifically running alongside CEOs, and building events. I've hosted over 1,000 live events. That's why you might see that some of this process for me is very simple, just because I've done it like a million times. And in addition, in marketing, I work for some of the biggest brands in the world doing digital marketing, generating over $200 million in revenue. I also know that you guys have your own story, and a lot of you are absolute geniuses at what you do. So what I want to talk about today is a little bit of a kind of like a thinking session, specifically around some of the unique challenges you're having in your gig, in your role right now. And then I want each of us to help each other out with those unique challenges, because this is kind of like pure facilitation, unique challenges, unique problems. And let's help each other out in overcoming some of those. So we're going to do that now in collective thinking. Then we're going to go to $1 Million content, and then we're going to take a break. Does that sound good? Oh my gosh. Does that sound good? All right, there we go. Good stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this slide up. And I want to ask you guys a simple question. And this may be the most valuable session that you're going to receive some opportunity, feedback, advice that you're going to get for this whole 2 days, this session right now for the next 45 minutes. Here's the reason why. It's because I know every single person in this room is here for a reason. And now I don't know why you're here, but I'm curious to know why you're here. There's probably something that you want to overcome, something you want to learn, something where there's a how-to question: how to generate more revenue, how to be more effective at digital marketing, how to figure out how to do top of funnel brand awareness, whatever it is, how to create unique content. As soon as we know what truly those questions are for you, I believe we have an opportunity to change the game. I have a very no bullshit approach to what I do in my work. So what I mean by that is I want you guys to get the maximum amount of opportunity to ask your questions and to also be able to get over that thing that's a sticking point. What is the most inefficient time period of business? Problem, solution. In between is where people waste the most amount of time. So I want to throttle that forward and help a few of you really break through something today. Does that sound good? Okay. How many of you know the business is not the problem, but that we are? Right? It's true. Marketing is not hard. Sales is not hard. Leadership is not hard. People are complicated. It's like a Rubik's Cube, right? And the unique challenges that we have show up in our work. And that of our teams, those people that we lead. So we got the catch mic, someone wants to help me throw them around. Oh, awesome, thank you. Who here has a significant challenge in their work that they feel like if they could walk away today or tomorrow with that problem solved, that their life would be tremendously easier? Okay, awesome. Would you like to share? Okay. Let's go ahead. And guys, we're going to talk through this, and then I want you guys to help her out too. This is not for me. There's a speaker who canceled this afternoon. We're going to watch a video, and I'm like, now let's get everybody together. Let's work together to solve some unique problems. Okay, so I want you guys to contribute in this, and I'm just going to help facilitate the conversation. Go ahead.
So about a year ago, I was hired as the digital marketing strategist for I mentioned before, it's a company that creates technical content for startups and just any software companies that are trying to increase web traffic, conversions, all of that. So we have a lot of inbound leads that come in, a lot of referrals. My CEO is on HeavyBit. He's on podcasts. So it's people come to us, and that's been the stream. So I was hired as digital marketing strategist. The CEO used to do sales. He backed out of sales, and now I'm head of sales. And the problem is when the pipeline starts to get low, I start to get nervous, and I'm prospecting out to I'm on TechCrunch and looking at startups that are out there and trying to connect on LinkedIn, but it's that constant fear, and then all of a sudden we'll get this huge wave of inbound leads, and I can't be looking for outbound anymore, but it's how to most effectively connect to these businesses that we want to work with, instead of just dealing with like the piddly ones that come in and want to do small engagements and that kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
That's just, I think that's, the major blocking point that will be a block in me raising my salary and increasing the business revenue.
Got it.
So,
got it. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. So I just want to make sure I clarify and understand the challenge of the problem. So there's two things. For you, there's this challenge of like having the right levers to pull at the right time, and also in that same moment, it's like air traffic control. It's like either it's like desolate or everything's happening at once, right? Okay, cool. And then on the opposite side, when you are getting leads, there is a qualification gap. Is that right? Am I hearing this properly? Okay, cool. So when it comes to the sales part, let me ask you this specifically on the marketing, actually. Do you guys have source reporting where you can see where leads are coming from, which ones convert at the highest percentage?
Sort of, like it's always part of discovery is how did you find us?
Yep.
And it's rarely like Google. It's always referrals or a venture capitalist recommended us or something like that. So we use HubSpot, and we can definitely see, the time from when I create a deal till the time they close and that kind of thing. But for the most part, like my close rate is high, my win rate is high, but we often end up with customers that we wish we could fire.
Yeah.
And then like when we look, I did a project a couple months ago where I looked at, how much was coming in from how many clients. And let's say we had 40 active clients last year, half of our business was from 6. And we want more of those 6.
Right.
Less of the 30, 40.
Got it. Okay, cool. Well, this is a velvet rope strategy. If you guys raise your prices, that will solve the problem really quick. Because there's going to be a threshold of the level of consciousness that they operate at, which will definitely separate the best clients from those who are having unreasonable expectations. So there's probably a superpower challenge of like, what are you guys the best in the world at? And if you create more attention around that and raise your price. Alan Weiss wrote the Consulting Bible. He said, you'll be known for being a generalist, or excuse me, you'll be known for being a specialist, but you'll be known by the masses for being a generalist. A lot of times in business and or consulting and or in an agency, you're going to get known very early on for a specialty, which was probably your founder. Now you're kind of in that middle of that generalist approach, and now you're just getting the mass influence and people coming in, but they don't really know what they're coming in for. It's just because someone told them that you guys are great to work with. So it's almost like people showing up to the party and you didn't invite them, but they're there, right? Anybody had that ever happen before or been to a place like that? They're like, who the hell are all these people, right? Like, so there's no common thread of why they're there, which can create a challenge. So I want to open it up to the room, and then I can follow up at the end and talk through this. But has anyone had this challenge before, of where they had a high influx of customers, but at the same time, they weren't the right customers? That's a big problem. Okay, go ahead. If you'd like to bring the mic over here, love to hear the solution. This is awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hello.
What's up?
I would say like I've had that same issue running LinkedIn lead generation campaigns. You think you're targeting the right people, but you might have like an expansion on, or somehow it's just a mix of people that you don't expect. And so like we kind of had to come up with like a lead scoring system. So that could be something you look into.
That we are doing.
Oh, you're doing that? Okay. But I also run in that same problem where like we're hoping to get, C-suite level like executives or managers interacting with our content, and then we get like a truck driver, or like we've had some crazy job titles come in. So yeah, anyone has suggestions for that.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I can talk you guys through this. This is how I took a Fortune 500 brand that had 300 performing units in its tech stack and doubled their revenue in 90 days. It's all in segmentation, and it's also understanding the velvet rope concept. So the velvet rope concept is essentially embedded in the idea that no matter who's coming in, right? Marketing is about three things: traffic, leads, and conversion, period. That's it. Like, that's as simple. What Da Vinci said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So you can go around the mountain a million times around strategies. And, you know, when I was doing ad sets, I had 300 different ad groups, right? Like, you can get really sophisticated, but the reality is there's traffic, there's leads, and there's conversion. So to assess the traffic sources, you want to figure out, okay, so you had 6 clients that you loved working with. The best strategy is to go to them and find the commonality. What stage of business? Where did you guys, it probably is more in your psychographics than in the demographics. More than likely. There's a value connection where they understand the unique value that you give. In addition, they probably have similar virtues of what they're trying to accomplish. They know that a true craftsman is worth paying the right amount. And if you guys have an instability in your sales process and or there's been transition, that spit test from a founder who's like, I just choose who I want to work with. And then you're like, well, I just want to get revenue in the door because they're raising the numbers. There's going to be this turbulence. So I would definitely do an assessment on the 6 people and figure out everything that they have in common.
We had a retreat beginning of April, and that's what we tried to do. Like,
yep.
Basically listed all our clients, and there's 5 of us that are like the department heads, and we sent, you know, this spreadsheet out to everyone that said, like, rate this client based on, like, you know, 1 to 5. My stomach drops when I hear from them.
Yep.
They're always, you know, I'm always happy to work with them or whatever. They come through and they say they're going to come through, like, always ratings. And we definitely came up with, like, who our top clients were.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you know, coincidental that those also happen to be our top people, like our top clients.
As far as revenue?
As far as revenue.
Yeah, that's simple.
And it's just, you know, between the discovery process and the proposal, like, I'm still trying to get to know them. I mean, if we're via Zoom, I'm doing, you know, half-hour touches with them, but then ultimately we get to the engagement and it's all, you know, hunky-dory, and then they just start nitpicking and doing things, and it's like, it all seems fine, and the lead scoring was great, and then now they're, like, taking up so much of our time.
Totally.
For, you know, 4 blog posts that it's just, you know, worth it, you know.
Yes. Just like in the human relationship, you know, what you allow, people will take advantage of. Givers have to have boundaries because takers don't have any. And it's so true with our clients, it's true with our teams. My suggestion would be on 2 things. Continue to find the commonalities, what makes them the same, also what separates them from the pack. And assess as many data points as you can from industry to vertical to, you know, the age of the CEO, the type of person who you're working with and what level they're at. A lot of people get nitpicky because they're not focused on the target, which is the goal.
Yeah, I work mostly with founders.
You do? Yeah.
And it's tech founders that are at seed rounds, and, you know, it's like, what our algorithm and everything that we put together is to basically, you know, use Google algorithm and use keyword difficulty and domain authority and basically project out traffic. And we have full-time engineers who are writing these blogs, that side hustle. So what we're telling them is we're giving them a blog post from an engineer's perspective to their audience, which is an engineer who hates being sold to. And then the founders take it and they're like, well, this sentence should say this way, and use they are instead of there.
Oh God, okay, yeah, no, that's really good. I appreciate you telling me, that's huge. So that's rules of engagement. You need to set the standard. This is how you're going to work with us. Remember, you draft your clients, they don't draft you. You're on your heels. Your whole team is on their heels. And then you're dealing with, like, incoming, you know, fire constantly. I ran a content agency a couple of years ago. 125 clients in 5 months. It absolutely exploded. We outkicked our coverage. Infrastructure failed in project management. And when I did a lot of assessment, that's what we figured out. We had these amazing clients who were just grateful that it was done. They're like, I've been trying to do this forever. My best keynotes ever, they're all sitting in a Dropbox folder somewhere. You guys were able to bring them to life. And they were really grateful. And then other people are like, can you make the font size just like 1 pixel smaller? And I'm like, go to hell. Like, I don't want to work with you, period, right?
And that's my CEO. He's like, when I was doing this, he's like, I just say, I don't want to work with you anymore. I fired him.
Yeah, totally. But that's not scalable, right? It's not sustainable. It's not scalable. It's not sustainable. So do you guys have an application process if someone wants to work with you?
I have a discovery form that they have to complete, and then I usually use that to go in and bring up red flags. Like, for us, our guest blogging program, we say maximum of 1 review. We can't have a committee. And somebody filled out a discovery form and mentioned they wanted organic traffic and they have a review committee. And I brought that up and I was like, this is not going to work. Like, you cannot have you cannot scale your content up with 4 people looking at the content, because they're all you're gonna like it or not like it. Either way, the blog post will have the right keywords, by the right perspective, choose the right persona. Like, don't worry about one grammatical error or whatever. Like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That it's getting through to them that we're gonna get them results.
Yep.
Back off.
Yeah. Well, it's rules of engagement too. The boundaries part is going to be really important. And start charging by the minute for every single time that one of these people want to go do that kind of stuff, and watch how quick it stops. And I would tell them, I would actually call them out and have a conversation with them, kind candor, and be like, hey, here's our operating agreement. This is how we work with you guys. This is our statement of work, or this is our terms and conditions. You have one opportunity to provide feedback. You provide it all at once. We'll make 1 revision. Anything after that, charge $500 every single time that they want to make a revision. Watch how quickly that crap stops. And if they don't want to work with you, great. Because now your team's going to have a ton of bandwidth. And if you charge more for the people that you like working with, and then you just get rid of, the bottom half, it's amazing how quick your world can change. But on the intake, on the application, ask deeper questions. I ask a question for my masterminds and say, how do you view the world? What is your support system like? Because I know if somebody comes in and they view the world a very different way than I do, well, we're probably not going to see eye to eye on too much. If I say, what's your support system? And they're like, I have none, because everybody is an a-hole. I'm like, I don't want that person in my group. You'd be very surprised at the things that people say. But it's funny, the application is what sells them. Because I don't. I just have conversations. When they read the application, they understand the intentionality about working with us and or the group of people that I bring together. So let an application process if you guys are really up there and people love collaborating with you, your name speaks for itself, but you're probably not charging enough. I would increase the cost, and I would decrease the amount of revisions, make it very clear. And start charging for that. There's some systematic things, but I'm happy to talk about it with you deeper too. Anybody else want to contribute into this part of the conversation? And again, if you have experience in doing this and you've seen this happen before, or you feel like there's a value add that you could chat about on this topic.
Nobody has crap. It's like, while I'm here, I'm getting like all of this inbound stuff that I'm gonna have to follow up, and I say, thanks for reaching out. Like, here's the discovery questionnaire that you need to fill out, before booking a time and all of that. And then half the time I'm begging them to fill out the questionnaire because they're not doing it.
Right.
So I need to maybe word that we cannot have this meeting without this questionnaire being filled out. And then my boss has a idea that he doesn't want to make everything required, so a lot of the questions are optional, and then they just don't fill them out.
If he's trusting you in the position, and I will happily have a conversation with him. If he's trusting you to own the position and own the role, there's got to be laissez-faire at some point. Otherwise, it's going to be this contentious thing, and it's going to get old really quick. But going through something like Typeform and making the questions that are being asked very human, like the whole idea around like, how do you view the world? You could ask something of like, are you the type of client who's going to ask for multiple revisions on words like there and there? And if they say, trust you guys to catch it, but if you don't, I'd make a simple request and predetermine the answers. Or if they're like, that would drive me insane, and I'm going to actually look at every single individual word, like just treat it very practical, and you'd be amazed, honestly. And if it's referral basis, that's great. But when someone brings a friend to a party and their energy's off and you're like, I don't like this person's vibe. That's what you guys are getting from real life into the business.
Yeah, I mean, as a company, we say no assholes policy.
Yeah.
So my boss doesn't give me the right to disqualify clients, but at the same time, like, I'm a salesperson.
Yeah, you got to hear it all.
You know, yeah, I'm driven to make things work.
Yep.
And that's a hard thing to battle.
So practically, application process, ask better questions on the front end, and be very direct, but kind candor. I would also look at your referral sources, where they're coming from, and figure out who's bringing in the really interesting characters. Because the same assessment where, what are the great clients that we have? Do that and say, who are the worst clients we have? Where they come from? And then tell that person, you can't refer anybody else to us. Simply. And they may have come from old legacy relationships. You just never know. So that's one other thing that I would suggest. And then I think, like, you're incredibly smart. You know what to do. I would just have a conversation around, like, hey, if we're going to go through these processes, like, you've got to make sure that you have that ultimate decision, that you have full ownership to do what you know is right, more from a mindset perspective than maybe in the day-to-day. So that way you can just take charge, make the call, and follow through, because I know you'll crush it. No question. All right? Cool. Let's give her a hand. Awesome. All right. We still have like 25 minutes. So who wants to go next? Who else is having a unique challenge? And we're going to help you guys out and talk through some of these things. And I'll happily talk to you guys after as well. One over here? All right, cool.
Hi, we have at least I feel we have a fairly unique situation. We're a nonprofit that is funded by the federal government, and we support community health centers for the underserved in our state. Every state has this, it's a required thing. So our membership, our audience is captive. So our membership is all these clinics from across the state. And what we're finding is we just can't engage them. They don't seem to understand what we do, that it's free, that we have all these services for them. And I think that there's a lot of bad press from previous leadership where people felt that they were only getting one thing and that they just ignore us. And so we're beginning to feel like a necessary evil, and which is hard because we do so much for them on the back end they don't even see. So I was hoping to get some insights to how to engage these people, how to get over the perception that we're just a government oversight, because we're not. We don't report on them, we help them report directly. But I'm just really having a hard time getting them to engage. I mean, we don't have a lot of social media and things like that. These people aren't looking at that. These are nurses, physicians, office administrators that are so busy and so overtaxed and so burnt out right now, especially, that one more thing in their inbox is just killing them. So I'm really struggling to try to figure out how to reach them.
You guys can write this one down. Marketing is not about closing a sale. It's about opening a relationship. i.e., marketing is not about creating engagement. It's about creating a relationship. So why don't you give me an example of this burnout physician, nurse, et cetera, and give me a little bit more context around what you do.
Sure. So our services, we're a frontier organization. Many states have, like Colorado's huge. We have 5 people in our office. So we each have our own hat, and underneath that are many other smaller hats. So we provide workforce solutions, support for them, helping them find
I'm going to call time out really quick.
Sure.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
Sure.
I want to do it on purpose because I want to close the thought.
Sure.
I want your answer on what you guys do.
Oh, okay.
Like your answer, like from here versus from here and then the sheet. Because I know you give a shit or you wouldn't be working there.
Right.
But like I'm getting the textbook answer.
You're right.
I want to know truly because I know you care.
Right.
That's the best marketing strategy in the world is to care.
Right.
Believe it or not, that's it.
No, I just want to make their lives easier. I want to make
Awesome.
their day easier. I don't want them to have to deal with the bullshit of the regulations, with trying to find the tools to learn the newest coding and billing and the latest from the CDC, which changes daily. I don't want them to have to sift through a million things. I want to aggregate a lot of that and give it to them. I'll do the sifting, because there's a lot of stuff out there that they don't need to read, and figure out how to serve their patients. That's where they're at. I mean, these are people, we have healthcare for the homeless. We have a lot of folks that are dealing with bilingual, all these things. There's so many barriers they already have that I don't want all the government crap to be the barrier as well. So that's what I want to bring to them, is just to help them and have them see us as a resource so that we can actually sift through all that.
Cool. This is the power of a personal brand. And I want anyone who works in social engagement, hey, Susie, social engagement, or who works in community management and social, or if you're leading an organization or part of a team who can contribute into this. This is really important. The work she's doing matters. And your presence is meaningful to people. So when people know, like, and trust you, right? You've heard that? Well, I think it's kind of reverse in your situation, and maybe for some others in the room. When people trust you, they're going to be willing to get to know you, which means then they'll allow you to have unique influence in their life. So for you to actually create the transformation that you want for the people that you truly have a heart to serve, it's going to be more about you and less about the organization. So let me remove the barrier that the organization has had bad press. That's where we started.
Right.
If you just erase that. When's the last time you went out to lunch with one of these people and just asked the simple question of, so how are you? How are things? Like, not business related, but just.
Right. It was actually just about 3 weeks ago.
Good.
I went in and we toured their facility, a local facility. COVID's really hit us hard because we're a huge state, right? So we haven't been able to travel to most of these. We normally do travel at least twice a year to these locations just to shake hands and see them and hear their pain points, listen to them all gripe, which I think people need. I mean, everybody wants that, right?
Yeah.
And so just a few weeks ago, we went in and they have brand new leadership. A lot of this turns over. People come in and there's always let me back up. There's always some RN that's been there for like 35 years and she just loves everybody and knows everything. But their leadership at the top end shifts all the time. People come in thinking it's one thing and then leaving. It's like a resume builder for a lot of folks. So we went in and had to explain everything that we do to these leaders while the nurses are just like, yeah, because they all know, but they're so tired and they have to go through their structure. So I feel like we're reinventing this over and over and over again because of that.
Yeah. Anybody want to chime into this? If not, because I do have go ahead, get right over here. I do have a response. My mom's a RN for 35 years. It's so funny. And everyone loves it. It's amazing. What do you think of my personality?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so when you were talking, it was reminding me of a job that I had previously. I worked in the central communications office of a school district that had like 50 different schools. And we had a lot of the same things that you're describing. Like we had some bad press at the district level. And there wasn't like kind of that trust of like, you're going to provide services to me that are valuable. It was more like, you're probably just going to like come in and try to enforce some rules that I don't agree with. So two things came to mind that we tried that might be useful for you. The first one was, so like for me in my job, I was focused on like social media and positive PR. So we really tried to change our strategy to focus on like positive stories that were happening at the site level. And one thing that we did was like we would highlight an individual who had gone like above and beyond in their job. Like remember one that we did was about a custodian who had started like a composting program at the school. And so we would put those on social media. And then when people saw that, it was like instead of us trying to say, oh, well, like we're awesome, like at the district level, we were really like highlighting like the awesome work that they were doing on the ground. And so I think that was like kind of a good first step to have kind of start building that trust that we were just talking about. And then the second thing was that for me, I had a lot of flexibility in that job to be able to be out in the schools. So that was like the other thing that we tried to prioritize, which is like being out at sites all the time so that people were seeing us and, recognizing like, oh yeah, I like know who that person is. And I feel like I can call them and ask for stuff. So those were kind of like two strategies that we used to build trust that might be useful for you too.
It's huge. It's huge. That's really good advice.
Yeah, that is.
Awesome. Excellent.
Look.
Yep.
A lot of space between.
Yeah, I mean, most of our clinics are 6-7 hours away.
Yeah.
So we have 3 that are local and 1 that's an hour away. The next closest one is 4 hours. And the others are, we have three that are up by Yellowstone, so opposite corners, and another one and two in the other corner. I don't know why we're all in corners. That's where we are, I guess, because there's a whole lot of nothing but cows in the middle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've driven through there before. So here's the interesting thing, and I think there's a really unique opportunity that you have from a leadership perspective just to jump in. I think the positive story thing is huge. People connect for two reasons, typically on a marketing level and or an interpersonal level, from a wound or a win. Because guess what? The people that you serve, they've probably had worked for organizations that went through some serious stuff too. They probably have some personal situations that they've gone through that have been really trying and difficult. And they'll connect. I mean, if you just go straight to it, like, listen, I know that A, B, and C happened, and it may look really bad. Every time I call you, I don't want you to think of organization ABC. I want you to think that I'm calling you because I care. And ask them, do you give me permission to speak into your life and to your business, to help you, to support you? The minute they say yes, they open that door back up. And it's hard when the organization goes through those challenges, but you just got to take, the target is not the problem. What you want to create is that trust. Trust is three things: reliability, credibility, and basically expertise. Competency. So if you're competent, if you're reliable, and if you're credible, I remember the last one now. The credibility, reliability go together. Reliability, credibility, and intimacy. That's the one. Think about it, right? Any human relationship. It's like you can be really credible. Like I started up here and saying I work for Fortune 500 brands, and I could also be really reliable, and I really deliver on what I tell people I'm going to do. But if there was no, if I didn't really care to listen and to slow down and really pay attention to what you're saying, it fractures the intimacy part. Where there's not intimacy, it lacks the ability for humanity to connect on a different level. And that's what I spent a lot of my career doing, is going what is the question behind the question? What is the thing behind the thing? Let's go deeper. Analytics matter. But humans are humans. And I just want to I want to encourage you to take those 5 people who work in your office and become the most badass team of people who give a crap ever.
That's our goal.
There's a book that I think would be wonderful for you. The guy's name's Jonathan who wrote it. It's called Giftology. If someone gave you $20 every day, whether you need it or not, eventually you're going why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Well, just because I care. Because I just want to support you. I want to be there for you. At what point is it maybe my grievance I should let go? So call them. My stepdad's been in business, HVAC engineer for 40 years. He said, Nick, the number one way to grow your business. I was like, please tell me. He said, call every single one of your clients on a Friday and wish them a good weekend. It's not complicated. He's had the same relationships for 35 years. If you give, I think that a lot of people say if you give, then it's like a boomerang. It comes back to you. But I think that when we empty ourselves, it gives us the ability to be filled back up. And if they're already empty, fill them up. And just do that. Forget all the other stuff. In Denver, those of you who live here, you've seen the t-shirts. Be a good person. Start there. And I'm serious. The strategy is not complicated. Is there all this other stuff? Yeah, but it's all distraction. You have a wonderful heart. Lead with it. And other people will follow. I guarantee it. Okay? Let's give her a hand. It's awesome. And if anybody else wants to speak into that, please feel free. I think the social stuff's really good. I would ask for 50 grand for an awesome, social, creative campaign around rebuilding some of that trust. Reliable, credible, intimate. Those are the 3 parts of that. It's a trust equation. Cool. Who else has something that they want to... Is this helpful, by the way? Is this good? Okay, cool. Who else has something that they want to do? We got about 10 minutes left. So let's talk through it. Who here hates their job right now? I'm just going to go there. Well, because your bosses aren't, or probably. If it is, then don't raise your hand if your boss is here. Is anyone really just struggling with calling purpose, like the deeper side of like, I don't love what I'm doing, it sucks? No? You're good, that's good. I know you guys are lying to me, but that's okay. I think there's a deeper level to what we do that finds itself that can kind of creep up. And there's an exercise that I do, which I'll do with you guys tomorrow. Or we can do it now. It's the best way to add a zero to your income. And also to find your zone of genius. Does anybody feel like they're wearing too many hats in their work and they would love to just do the thing they're the best at? Okay, now we're getting response, okay. All right, grab a sheet of paper. Bring this with you tomorrow, okay? Because this is gonna be huge for the talk around personal branding. This is a concept of the 80-20 of the 80-20. These are the top 4 things you're the best at in the world. If you don't do these things, you will always make way more money than you should. Can I put this thing down? Anybody want to make more money? Yes? Okay, oh, there we go. All right. Everybody wants to make more money, right?
Yeah.
How many of you guys want to actually do the stuff that you're the best at and stop fulfilling someone else's crap? Okay. Okay, cool. So bottom right-hand corner of the page, I want you to actually, sorry, scratch that. I want you to create a vertical line right down the middle, horizontal line right across the middle. So basically you have 4 quadrants. I've done this with over 500 entrepreneurs. I can't even tell you the amount of entrepreneurs who have literally added a zero to their income. That's why I call it that. The bottom right-hand corner, what I want you to focus on, and we're going to have a group share about this. I'm going to try to curb my language here. I've really found that already. Bottom right-hand corner, things that you hate doing and you suck at. Things that you hate doing and you suck at. This is on purpose. Exhaust the list. You guys will get out of this exactly what you put into it. I don't even care if it's laundry and doing dishes. Put it on there. Personal, professional, whatever. Anything that comes to your mind, clear your consciousness on this. Just get everything out. Things that you suck at and hate doing. I suck at QuickBooks and I hate QuickBooks. Literally, I would just delete them from the planet if I could. Sorry, those who do bookkeeping, my friend, I love you. But I need you actually, right? And that's the funny thing, the things that you suck at, somebody else is the best in the world at. Just write them down, fill it up with whatever it is. All right, I want a couple people, and guys, work with me here like quickly because I want to make sure that we stay on time today. But will some of you share the things that you've written down in that corner, bottom right corner, things you suck at, you hate doing? Just be honest. Go ahead.
Social media management.
All right.
Press releases.
Yep.
Cold calling.
Yep.
And laundry.
Yes. Let's go. All right. Good. Thank you. Anybody else hate doing some of those things? Okay. Who else wants to share? Yep, go ahead.
Dealing with stupid people.
I often will say you can't do epic things with basic people. That's good. Yeah, no, but it's true. It's dealing with incompetency is what my wife says drives me the craziest. Yeah, I can relate. Anybody else? Go ahead, man.
I hate driving. I despise meetings. I suck at accounting and math. And I hate relying on social media for promotional purposes.
Yo, let's go. All right, I'm done. Great job, guys. No, right? Because it's true. It's one of those things that we probably all can relate with. You got to rely on social, which is supposed to be organic engagement, to then like drive results and all the pressure that comes with that. No, I totally get it, man. With you. Okay, cool. All right, we're going to keep moving. Bottom left corner. Things that you are okay at, things that you're okay at and you don't really enjoy. Okay, so we're just doing a little minor version of what that was before. I don't mind doing it, but I'm not the best in the world at it. But I don't mind doing it. That's that section. Things that you don't mind doing, but you're not great at, is a good way to frame it. Don't mind doing, but I'm not great at it. While you're writing, just a few of you just call out some of the things. I don't mind doing it, but it's like, for me, it's like mowing the lawn. I'm like, I don't even know. In my professional work, you're like, well, I don't really mind, doing a Canva graphic, but I mean, I'm not the best in the world at it, right? Go ahead. Cooking, all right, sweet. These are the personal things that are good too, because you're going to find a way to outsource all this crap really quick. What else? Sales tax, perfect. Yeah. Photoshop, awesome. Photoshop, graphic design. I mean, I don't mind doing it, but I'm certainly not the best at it.
Keeping track of, I'm an account manager.
Yep.
So she's very good at recording every single thing. So she likes to see all my notes, and I'm not, it's in my head.
Sales admin.
I'm a salesperson, like, it's my feeling, it's my instinct, and so I'm not great. I don't mind putting notes in, but I'm not great at it.
Yep. Because it's all in your head, and it's stored in your energy, which is important. And wait till EQ graduates to spiritual intelligence, which will happen soon. I'm working on a talk for that, which is going to be really dope. But you have IQ, EQ, and SQ, spiritual intelligence, energy, aura. How am I feeling about this? What's my intuition say? That's going to throw corporate America for a loop. Who else? Things you don't mind doing, but you're not great at. Working a trade show booth, right on. Love it. Thank you for sharing. Does everybody have something in that category? Maybe 3 to 4 things? Okay, cool. Let's move to the next one. Top right corner. Things that you like doing and you're good at. I like creating content. I'm good at it. It's fun. Things you like doing, you're good at. And again, just do as many as you can, whatever comes to mind. Don't judge this process. You cannot be in flow if you're in criticism, judgment, or comparison. You'll never find the stuff that you're the best at. So who cares? Just be honest. Feel free to call it out. Just mention some of this stuff because it might prompt another thought for someone in the room. Things you like doing, you're good at.
I'm good at client meetings.
Awesome.
I love the relationship building part.
Cool. I can see that, definitely. Who else? HTML. Woo! Managing people. Managing their outcomes, or what is it about management? Or is it the support? Just seeing others win? Yeah, that's what I thought. I would change that. Just add seeing others win. Mentoring, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. And you're very approachable. We sat at lunch together. Very, very approachable. And I can see why people love doing that. And it comes very natural to you, it seems. It's awesome. Who else? It's all right. All right. Top left quadrant, and I cannot say what I want to say, but things that you love doing and you're the effing best at. You only can put 4 and you cannot try to figure out what the 4 should be. Stream of consciousness, what comes to mind first? Put the things down there. Write it. Things I love doing and I am the best at. Things I love doing and I'm the best at. Do not rob yourself of this opportunity to be honest with yourself. This wasn't planned, which is why it's such an awesome op, and I appreciate Aaron for opening up the opportunity to talk through some of this stuff. Because I think that a lot of people think they have a career. I just, in my belief system, think that you have a calling, a unique purpose, a unique design around who you are, what you do, why that matters, what impact it makes. And I think that oftentimes we accept the workload of someone else because we don't want to create drama, because we don't like conflict, because of the way we grew up. And so we just go, oh, okay, fine, I'll just do it. And guess what? I lost $1 million in 2 days when COVID hit. In 2 days, 48 hours, gone, done. And when you have to rebuild, you go through a lot of experiences of asking deeper questions around, what is my intended purpose? What am I here to do? Finished 80 therapy sessions over the last 12 months, asking the deeper question around, what is my intent? What is my purpose? What am I here to do? And this is the exercise that I did 2 years ago, that after all that stuff happened, business success, business failure, challenges, opportunities, whatever you want to view it as, this exercise is what pointed me to the North Star. And I will tell you right now, the things in the top left quadrant for you, I want you to draw $4 signs, okay? $4 signs in that category and circle it. You can go down and kind of do the Z like a zigzag. The top right, it's $3 signs. In the bottom left, it's $2 signs. In the bottom right, it's $1 sign. How many of you spend most of your time doing things in the bottom right quadrant? Raise your hand. Okay, now you know why you're not making the money you want to make. Robert White was a client of mine. Robert White started Mind Dynamics in the 1970s that started the human potential movement in the US, in the West. He founded his company on a simple principle of ARC, ARC, awareness, responsibility, communication. Now you have awareness. The question is, what are you going to do to take responsibility of it? In the top left quadrant, and I want a few of you to mention this. Guys, am I good for like 2 more minutes? Okay. Top left quadrant is where you'll make the most amount of money. Those dollar signs, that's $1,000 an hour to $900 or $9,999 an hour. You're spending time doing things that are worth $1 to $9 an hour. Or maybe in the other section, it's $20 an hour. Or the other section, it's $100 an hour. But you're robbing yourself by not doing things in the top left. Who's brave enough to mention some of the things in the top left quadrant and make that statement today that these are the things that you're going to be focusing on? I know you want to do it. Go ahead, bro.
My top left quadrant, I had art, remaining calm in stressful situations, having fun, and communication.
Awesome. There's your North Star. Who else wants to share? It's amazing, dude. Pumped for you. Who else?
Making friends, putting out fires, messaging.
There you go. So the correlation is, how does that show up in your work? It doesn't. Do you see why alignment becomes such an intense thing? Do you see why the challenges that you're facing seem like these huge mountains? So we got to find alignment to get closer back to, okay, how does this apply to me? And do this exercise. I try to do it like once a month. What's draining me, what's driving me, right? Who else wants to share? We'll do one more and then we're going to finish up here in about 60 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, my top left quadrant is riding bikes, writing, talking about bikes, increasing sports marketing towards women, and then coming up with unique ways to market bikes.
There you go.
And I get to do it every day. So.
That's amazing. There you go. And that's such a powerful thing for you to sit at the table talking. You're like, yeah, I love that. I love the opportunity that I have. And so you're staying in that flow where things are simple and easy and fun. If there's a huge discrepancy here, guys, you can draw everything, draw a circle around all the quadrants besides the top left. Do it for me really quick. Draw a circle around everything besides in the top left. It's kind of like a backwards, like a J, like a backwards L, like a J. That is everything in your work that you procrastinate. True or true? Okay? That's because you don't want to do it. So my encouragement to you is for you to take the time to focus on trying to get more in your zone of genius so that you're more profitable for your company, that you have more fulfillment in your life, so you actually enjoy what the heck you're doing, and outsource everything else. It's easy. You can start in the bottom right. All that stuff is $1 to $9 an hour. Start there. And every day where you're assessing, what am I doing? What do I want to be doing? Focus on the top left. Is that all right? Cool. We're going to talk tomorrow on personal brand. We're going to talk about like how to then start engineering this inside of your CV or inside of your website. Or some of you may be entrepreneurs. Some of you may be working for companies, and there's a lot of different variations. So I'm here to help you guys just do the best version of you and your work. Okay? Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.